My roots are originally from Bristol. I was born in the Midlands, grew up in Bristol. I have distant family on my father's side in Colombia. That's been a kind of constant area of exploration and fascination for myself. I studied the visual arts in Newcastle from the early 90s, and quite naturally I explored that side of my heritage through my own work, through my own practice, mainly in photography and video and music as well, and then later into events, which led to the formation really of the Vamos Festival. The Northeast is definitely my home. I've been here 30 odd years, so yeah, I very much count it as my home. It came from an ongoing, relatively long-term working relationship with Susan Ashley at Northumbria University, and being involved in the Who's Heritage Conference, and seeing, I guess, what was being developed and was evolving over time in terms of an aspiration towards nurturing, supporting a movement around archive and an accurate representation of archive in the Northeast. Maybe a slightly different approach or relevance for Vamos, in the sense that it was always an aspired combination of invited and curated guests and contributors from outside the region and outside, international guests basically, alongside hoping for an indigenous representation from the Northeast. So it is about celebrating the Northeast and its unique cultures here, and combining that with people from all over the world, generally Spanish and Portuguese speaking cultures. And I studied photography, and it was mainly fine art based photography as well. But in my second year at university, I developed a sort of fascination around artist books, and I also always had a passion for it. Has never left really. Kind of archival photography and family photography and different kind of trends and developments with mass photographic products, I guess. So how photography, consumer and mainstream photography changed through the ages, through the different decades, I guess, as well. A number of days I spent time with my nana, and I interviewed her, and she was very fastidious in the kind of documentation of her own archive and her own history and her own sort of family roots. And so I have those photo albums now, and I use them as source material really for this book. So I combined together that photographic source material, and then I sort of overlaid it with quotes from her. So she talked about certain images, and she basically, the reason why the project was fascinating to me, which I think we've been doing with this multicultural archive project, is through allowing people time and space to talk and using the imagery, I guess, as a trigger, it ends up unearthing more than we kind of expect, and we discover more about ourselves. That she had a particularly kind of English upbringing, in her eyes, very sort of traditional English upbringing and influence, but she didn't actually come to this country until she was 25, and she only came here actually as a kind of last resort. After they left India after independence, they went to Kuala Lumpur, they went to Australia, they went to different places trying to plant roots elsewhere, and it was almost as a last resort. It's like, okay, we'll go to England, we'll settle back there. And that was quite, it was a huge culture shock for my nana. I don't think there's anything she kind of ever really got over, really, in the sense of her perception of what it meant to be English and our roots and our traditions. It was very different when she got here, basically. So through, I definitely think this project is going to achieve an authentic, tangible outcome in the region.